All right, so it's finally finished. A few little hiccups along the way, but we are done. Let's go. And you can see, you can barely tell that this wasn't part of it. If you look under here, I've done a 15mm overhang all the way around, and siliconed it up, so it pretty much you can't tell. I found 15mm was the sweet spot. This is finally finished and stained. I did do a matching table with less rounded edges. The last one I kind of hated, but the fact that, you know, these two now match was worth the effort. This is all stained, finished, flush, ready to roll. Comes out here and it's a chopping board. Under here you've got whatever they are, they're from Bunnings, and then just rubber on the bottom. I don't know if I've got another video describing how I did this, but I did obviously use a router and a sander to make this flush with the rubber pads. Again, just Bunnings, a couple of bucks, just so I wasn't putting metal onto the chopping board and then that just get all scratched. But let's give it a test run. There we go. Hot, cold. Good thing about this tap is this is adjustable. Again, you can move it wherever you want. The one thing that I did find, which I'm probably going to get a new one, the sleeve, the threaded sleeve that this goes in. I just got this on eBay, which again is in the other video describing how I actually made this. The thread's not long enough. It was just long enough for me to get under the sink to screw it on and then do the screws. But under here, I've got more room now. Obviously you can see in the next video, which I did go into depth, you can see how you need to make that hole cut out a little bit bigger. The biggest problem that I had was getting your arm underneath here to tighten, to screw it on to that that thread. I ended up going through this side and had two phones, one on a video call so I could actually see where I'm going. But as you can see, you've got more room this side, which the sink came to, you know, further out. But all in all, it's a pretty neat finish, I think. Someone asked me about the gas line, where I disconnected it. So down here, that's obviously in the off position. Turn that off, turn all your gas lines off, and then it just feeds up through there. And if you unscrew, there's a couple of like D clamps on that screw that in. If you screw that off and it actually like tunnels through there, once you've done that, the whole stove just lifts out once you've done the 4. So I've left that all together. If you want to see how I ended up doing it, I had just some 15mm scrap left over, and some brackets, and that ultimately is what I drilled through to the bench top. Only one on this side, which was like under there. There's one screw there. The rest I did silicon. So I ran silicon, a thin layer along here, along there, a couple of dobs at the back, So if I did want to, I can get fishing line after I've unscrewed it and rip that all off. But I think it looks mint. One of the best things that I find is that I've got so much more top shelf cupboard space, which before, you know, all your gas stove and everything ran about to there. So I used to have this Bunnings drawer up there, jammed in there, and that was pretty much all I could fit. So now, I don't know, shit's just so much easier to get in and out. I think that's probably it. The other thing is for anyone who is doing the gas, that fitting there is like $10, $15 if you want to pay primo, or 25 I think was the most expensive if you want to get it from like Reese. It's just a 3/8 SAE flared end cap. You can eBay it, you can go to a caravan shop, whatever. Pretty much that just screws on, and then just means, you know, you're not going to get a gas leak. In the end, I did post in the other video describing, but I'll say it again. All in all, I took 6.5 kilos out. With this, I ended up putting 7 kilos back in. And I think I added another maybe 500 grams with taking the old table out and putting the new one in. Apart from the actual tap install, because as if you are interested in doing this, you'll see in the other video, I glued the sink down first to my made out cutout that I did, and then here on this side where the bench top is, I siliconed. So liquid nails onto that, silicone there. This is not going anywhere. And again, you know, you don't have to do what I done. You can just do a drop-in sink, but my plan did work because the gas is now gone, and tried it out, and the portable induction cooktop sits on that. So when the induction sits there, we've still got the whole bench space, which the amount of times we cook inside is minimal, which is why I wanted something like this that A, looks good, but more so functional. And again, I just dish drying now, done, easy. I think, I don't know, it's $5 from Kmart. Winner. If anyone was interested, how to get your actual table sitting in the middle and functional, under there I've totally changed it. I do have another post on this site. If you do want to know how I did that, type my name, it'll come up. I think that pretty much, this is it. Anyone's got any other questions that I have missed, I'm more than happy to kind of walk you through it, but otherwise, good luck. Just plan, measure a million times. I've seen quite a few people who just put benches over the top. Wicked. If you never use your sink and never use your gas stove, then it's probably a quick, easy fix. But I do plan on using a sink and using the induction, but most of all, like the storage that we get now, we didn't have, and it's pretty limited. And I was actually surprised when I weighed everything that, you know, I've added, you know, less than a 6-pack in weight. So I'm pretty stoked with that. Anyway, I'll give you one last close up. I reckon it looks pretty good. Under here, one thing that I did want to add, not related, but anyone with kids, get a $2 doorstop from Bunnings, and a couple of sticky dots. And if you're like me and freak out that they're gonna press it, which they have done, which is why I've done this, it just means you can press that and it doesn't go in. Take that and you can do it on the underside, jam it in, and it doesn't fall out. Just a doorstop, a couple of sticky dots, just an idea. Anyway, I'm going to get back to my wine. There she is in her glory. Watch the next video if you want to know how I did it. Enjoy. Also, again, I've said it in my other video, this is just a $40 piece of Havea timber from Bunnings. And the stain is what makes it. I've used a lot of stains in my time. This is by far the best stain that I've used that keeps the natural color of the timber. Like, it makes it one shade darker. That's it. Doesn't change the actual overall color of it, which is amazing. I think it's, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's called Fitters or something. It's only online or Mitre 10. I'm not getting paid from them. Wish I was. Hopefully I can find out a way to make a plug and get paid. That'd be great. But yeah, it's a matte finish, nice and smooth, super easy to work with. Ended up just using microfiber, small roller, even for the edges. I didn't use a brush. The only time I used a brush was when I was doing the inside of this. It was a little bit fiddly and different levels there. But those, again, those rubber pads, Bunnings, $3, and a chopping board, which I did tell the wife that she's not going to chop on. She found that funny. Anyway, there you have it. Any questions, let me know. If you want to do it, watch my other video, which is a little more in-depth. And happy days. Enjoy. All right, let's start from the start. So you will need to cut out a decent hole big enough to fit the new adapters. Irrigation fittings. Your standard sinks come in 50mm thread. The caravan sink thread I think was 40 from memory, and then it's just got an elbow on it to your silage hose. Any irrigation shop's going to have this gear, unless you're buying a caravan purpose sink, which has I guess a 40mm thread. So I discovered there's a 100mm gap between the outdoor pantry and here, so I knew I was able to fit that in. But again, measure everything, because every caravan is going to be slightly different. Next step, traced out that this cutout here, MDF. I needed a 15mm because this current bench top's 15mm, so traced it out from underneath, cut it out, had to do some sanding obviously to get it right. It was a bit of trial and error getting the actual shape. The sink didn't come with a template, so yeah, again, whatever sink you decide to go with. Once I've got this, I've attached this with some brackets underneath. Again, every caravan build's probably going to be different. I did put some double-sided tape under each bracket between this template. So when I was screwing, it held in place, but also it just bumped it up a little bit so it actually sits perfectly flush here. That's not going anywhere. The biggest thing that you will have to work out is you will need this, your angled drill socket. It's the only way. If you look at the tiny gap here, when you're doing holes, you know, you do want to go all the way up. So that's secure. Next step, sink in. So this here, around this edge here, where we've got the existing bench top, I'm just going to do some wet area silicone. That'll like mean that just a few dots. Here, around here, underneath there, I'm going to liquid nail that. That way, again, I'm not going to go too heavy, but that will mean that it's easy to get off if I want to reverse it. And I've only got a couple of dobs of silicone there. If I want, when it reverse, I can take this off separately to the bench top. So I am going to screw from underneath up through here, so that'll secure it. I will end up putting a couple of dabs of silicone, but I will end up using brackets, probably 4 brackets in there to screw up onto the bench top. This here, it's a Sofido sink. I got it from eBay. To be honest, my original plan was to have a drop-in sink, but the more I thought about it, the more I wanted a chopping board insert to make it all flat. You could just bypass like a lot of this step and just have a drop-in sink by bear with me. If you wanted to, you've got your bench top, you could just bam, drop in sink ready. It would be a lot easier if you're not too handy with tools. You know, there is some routing, hole sawing, jigsaw cut. I had a couple of practice runs with this before I actually did the main event. I really didn't want to bugger it up. The bench top itself is from Bunnings. I think it was about 50 bucks, 40 bucks. The color works well, so that's why I went with that. This size, this is the dining table size, 405. So you will need the bigger size for the bench top. I think it comes in about 600 width by 1200 in length, so keep that in mind. Also, my previous post, I hadn't stained it yet. Ended up going with a, I think it's pronounced Fitters. It's an ultra raw hard wax oil. Doesn't change the color of the timber at all. Like if you see the color of that and see the color of that, it doesn't add any yellow or anything. I'll definitely be using that in any other projects that I do. It's a nice product. It is a bit expensive, $42 for I think 250 mil. I did also mention for the weight people, I did weigh everything that went in and everything that went out with the gas stove and the old sink. That came to about 6 kilos that I took out, and with everything that I put in, including brackets, that came to about 7.5 kilos if I was to overestimate. So we are only putting in an extra 1 kilo. I'll get rid of this and then just explain a little bit more. So obviously, if you are going to do this way, you know, measure and practice a million times. The idea was that if I wanted to get rid of it, I can put it totally back to brand new again, without damaging the bench top, which included, you know, if you're measuring for sinks, don't like this sink, want a silver sink, I wanted to be able to fit the tap in this same area. So again, just hole saw and a bit of placement. The tap that I ended up going with is a fully adjustable tap, so this whole thing rotates, the nozzle rotates. Again, I didn't want it to be an overly expensive venture. I think all up, I think by the time I add up all the brackets and stuff and the stain, I think a bit under $250, but that's also with that as well, which is going to be the dinette table. Right, so one thing that I do want to note when this is in, I am securing that tonight, and then tomorrow I'll be attaching the actual bench top. Give us a sec. So it's not sitting level because obviously I've got stuff in place to stop the sink from moving overnight. But the main thing that I wanted was the lip, so that I could put the chopping board in there and have a perfectly flat surface. I can't actually fit, I can't stain the lid board yet. You can do any kind of design you want. I just went with whatever fit in my hand. So one thing that I do have to do is I can't finish the chopping board until I've siliconed, everything's all fixed and siliconed, because you will get a silicone edge around there. One thing worth noting, jigsaw and orbital sander, that's pretty much, and I just made a template. That's all you do for the edges. The one thing that you might want to consider is on the underside, where the silicone runs all the way along there. I actually rounded off. I did attempt with the planer, but it was just easier doing it with the orbital sander in the end. You don't need to take too much off, but left the edge so you don't actually see the rounded edge as the overhang. That just means it sits flush with the bench top without having to take that silicone off. Again, it was just a reversal thing that I wanted to do. The only time that I needed the router was to route out so the bench top sits exactly flush with the sink and the bench top. Otherwise, you know, you'd have this raised up and wouldn't sit flat. Again, also to eBay, I think it was about a $50 tap. I'm not going to tell you what tap to use. I just wanted black. That's what we went with. The biggest thing you do need to consider is your depth. You could not go any more than 160 mil depth for the sink. This Sofito, I think, is about 30 by 36 centimeters from eBay. The only thing that I did discover is, yeah, it's like, I think a $55 sink. The rim is not great quality. So that's ultimately what changed my mind to go back to an undermount sink, because I could have done it, but it would be, you would notice the quality. But, you know, again, this was all just a trial. So if you want to spend the money, get a good sink that's, you know, 160 mil deep, go for it. I don't know if there's anything else that I've missed. I'll probably think of something, and I'll probably put it in the finished product video. Any other notes? I just want to start getting this glued down so I can get the top all done, because we're going away soon. So anyway, till the next installment of the finished product, hold the line. And yeah, if you do want to do this and have any other questions, hit me up in the comments. All right, cheers, boy.